Hi guys, what's up? I hope you're healthy and safe, and welcome back to this channel. Now, I'm hoping that you're learning from the videos that I'm making, and if you are, I'm requesting you to subscribe to the channel and like the videos. Show your support, share them with your friends, and please comment on the videos so I can know that you're learning. Now, this video that I've created now, it's about tuples. I'll be explaining you what tuples are, why we need them, but not just that. I'll also be explaining you few other things that are essential to know in Python. When I say essential to know, it means that they will make your life much easier, and it's better to know them at this stage when you're learning the data types rather than learning them at a later stage and getting confused altogether. So I've incorporated them in this video as well to help you in understanding the basic concepts along with the tuples. So let's get started. I'm just going to pull up my Visual Studio Code. I'm going to create a new file. I'll just save this file as tuples because that's what the major concern here is, or major thing that we are going to learn in this video. There we go. Okay, so I've created it. Let me tell you what we are going to learn. First thing we are going to learn is called dir. It's a command that we use in Python. I'll explain to you why we use it. And second one is called help. I'll also explain you why we use help. And third one is pass. So all three of these are essential to know when you're working in Python, when you're learning Python. And then we'll be learning about tuples. Okay, first thing, what is dir? So I've already searched on Chrome or Google. So I just typed dir Python, clicked on the first link, and this is what we got. So dir is a powerful inbuilt function in Python 3 which returns list of the attributes and methods of any object. And these objects can be anything. They can be strings, they can be lists, they can be modules, they can be functions, they can be dictionaries, they can be tuples, anything. Syntax is just that. So what does it do? Let me just show you in an example. Let's just type dir, sorry, 1d, dir, open parenthesis, inside this just type list. Done. Now what it's gonna show you is whatever functions or methods that can be applied on a list. So remember, we have done some list functions like append, pop, insert. If you remember them from, let me just pull it up here. List functions. So these functions I'm talking about: list append, list extend, list insert, list remove, list pop, list clear, list index, list count, all of these. So until now, we have been coming to the website to see what functions we can actually perform on a list, right? What I'm going to show you now is using the dir command. We can actually see all of these inside the Python itself. So if I run this now, oh sorry, I didn't print it. Obviously I didn't print anything, so it didn't show me anything. Let me just clear this. So you can see it showed me everything that can be done on a list. So you can see all of these: append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, sort. They all can be done along with all of these other functions or methods. Now you might be thinking, what the hell are these underscore underscore ITER underscore underscore? What is that? That's where we use help command. So to understand what something does, we write help command. So let's say we were looking for ITER, that one. So to understand what each one of these does, you can just run a help command on it, and you can write whatever you have written here. If it's a list, you write list. If it's a tuple, you write tuple. Dot whatever you want to search on. So now if I search on it, you see that it's giving me some kind of explanation as to what it does. It says implement self. Similarly, if I do print help dot list, help list dot append, we know what append does. So now what's going to happen? Let me just all I did was I killed the terminal from here and then just ran it again. Anyways, so append object to the end of the list. So I don't really have to go on a website to see what append does on a list. This is why we use dir function and help function. So if you look at the definition of help, it says the help method calls the built-in Python help system. So there's a help system inside Python, and that's what it does. It just calls, and you can see different examples where they have used help, and you can try them. So the more you try, the more you learn, and I recommend you trying different things to get different results and understanding things better. And like this, I can just go on Python, kill terminal, and I hope you understood what dir does, what help does. Now let's talk about pass. What does pass do? Pass itself is just a null statement. So in Python, pass is a null statement. The interpreter does not ignore a pass statement, but nothing happens and the statement results into no operation. So basically, when you don't write anything, you just write pass. Like when you don't have to write anything, just write pass. So the pass statement is useful when you don't write the implementation of a function, but you want to implement it in the future. So say for example, I'm working on a project where, say, currently I'm just working on a project where I'm putting all the students in ascending order according to their roll numbers. So that's fine, or according to the grades that they've received. But I may have to then divide them in future based on which particular class they are in. So when I'm segregating them just based on the grades, I'll just write pass for that class thing. And when I'm completing the program, I will remove pass and I will add my code there. That's why pass is used. I obviously cannot show you the implementation as yet because um, I will be showing you an implementation of pass in tuples, but what I just talked about, that will come later. That grades thing and all of that will come later. So anyway, I hope you understood what dir does. I hope you understood what help does, and I hope you understood what pass does. If you have not still understood it, I recommend Google, so you can see what I've searched, pass Python. Just search pass Python, go to any link and look for examples. That will give you a basic understanding of what it does. Similarly, look for pass help, look for examples, try them. Similarly, look for dir, try them. There must be examples here. So you can see there's like examples here. Now, why am I showing you all of this? Because we are going to discuss tuples. And tuples is a data type which is very similar to list. Very similar. The way it's created, it's very similar. However, there's few major differences that I'll discuss here that you should know. But let's take a step back and let me relate it to your real life. So, I'm pretty sure all of us have a kitchen in our home. Whether you cook or not, I don't know, but all of us have a kitchen in the house. Okay? Now, I hope, unless you're living in a shared accommodation or a hotel or something, then it's a different thing. But I'm just talking about a normal scenario, like a house. Now, in the kitchen, obviously we cook, and there's various ways that we cook food. We might be cooking food in a pan. So when you cook food in a pan, you add ingredients to it, and say for example you're adding salt or some spices to the food that you're cooking, and while cooking, unless you're like really professional, you sometimes taste it, and you can tell that whatever you're cooking needs more salt, or it needs to be a bit more spicy, or it needs to be um, maybe it needs some other ingredient that you forgot to put in. So even though you're cooking, you can actually still add ingredients to it. So if it needs salt, you can actually add salt, and this is happening while you're cooking it. So you've already started cooking, it's been cooking for like 15 minutes, then you realize it needs more salt and you're adding salt to it, which is fine. You can do that in a pan when you're cooking in a pan. Now take an example when you're baking a cake, or you are making a pizza in oven. Now what happens is you put all the ingredients together before you actually start the oven, or you obviously preheat the oven anyway, but before you put stuff inside the oven, you need to make sure that everything is fine, everything is has been added in the ingredients, because once you have put something in oven, you don't take it out and you add ingredients on top. Maybe after, just as toppings, maybe later on, yes, once food is prepared, but normally you wouldn't take things out and add ingredients on top of it. So what I'm trying to explain here is there are two things. First one, which can be changed. So when you're cooking food in a pan, you can change it according to whatever is missing. When you're cooking or baking a cake, you don't normally take it out of oven, add more sugar to it, because it wouldn't cook properly. So there's things that can change and there's things that cannot change. So the things that can change are called mutable. Things that cannot change called immutable. So I will be using these two words, mutable and immutable. So why am I telling you all this kitchen things or cooking things? I don't want you to make food. Go and make food. I don't really want that. I want you to learn Python. So what I'm trying to explain here is lists are mutable. Tuples are immutable. Which means a list can be changed. Tuples cannot be changed once you have created it. A tuple cannot be changed. Simple. Now I'll give you an example. Let's make a list. Let's make a list A1, or maybe let's give it 2, 3, 4. I can do, say 0 equal to 1. I can do A1 equal to 2. We're just gonna copy paste. And if I print A now, I get a list which is 1, 2, 3, because I changed the values from 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 3. So a list can be changed. this was a list, we were able to change that using these commands. Now, tuple. How do I make a tuple? I make a tuple using parentheses. So x is equal to 2, 3, 4. Instead of square brackets, so these are square brackets which we use to make a list. When you're making a tuple, you use parentheses. Now try changing it. Let's just try to change it as let's just change the first one. Okay, and I'm gonna do print x. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna comment this out. Now we'll clear this. Now let's try. You see I got an error straight away. And what's the error? Tuple object does not support item assignment. Tuple cannot be changed. So now you might be thinking, what the hell? Why we even need tuples then? Why do we need tuple when we can't change them? Well, good question. There are some factors that tuples are actually better in. How? Tuples are faster. Tuples, let me just put it on top. Tuples take less memory. So when you're creating a program, if you write a tuple, it consumes less memory. So it uses less resources when you're writing a program using tuples. However, if you're using list, they take more resources because your computer have to take in consideration that list can be changed, so it has to allocate more memory towards the list. And I'll be proving this to you in a minute. So how can we prove this? How can we know that tuple actually take less memory and tuples are faster? Now to do that, I actually need to import a couple of statements. I'll be importing two statements. First one is import sys. And I will import, actually I'll just show you one at a time. So I'm just importing sys. So right now I have, let's just delete this. And let's just delete this. Let's just delete this. So right now I've got a list of 2, 3, 4, and then I've got a tuple of the same values. Now, if I write, so what I've done is I've imported sys on top. As you can see that if you go on top, you can actually see that I've written import.sys. Actually, there's one more difference that I wanted to tell you. Because I showed you dir command already anyway. So tuples have less inbuilt functions. So this is like a con, and these two are pros. Con for tuple, pro for tuple, and if you don't know what con is, it means it's a bad thing for tuple. Like in comparison, this particular statement makes list better, and these two statements make tuples better. So I've shown you dir command. How do I check dir for a list? Remember, I do this. Now the list I have here is A. So can I write this? Yes, I can. Again, I didn't print it. So, sorry. Print. You can see we get all of these functions. Now try doing the same for x. But actually before that, let me just give you a comparison. Let me just do this. 200 into one dash, that should do. Okay. So what am I doing here? What is this? I'm just writing dash or hyphen 200 times. So I'm just printing 200 times dash, just to show you a comparison between these two. Let me just clear this. There we go. So anything above the dotted line is dir from list. Anything below is dir from tuple. And you can see tuple has less things. So there's less things that you can actually do on tuple. There's more things that you can do on list. And that's basically because you can amend list. So you are allowed to change list. That's why you can do all of these extra things. Yeah. So that's one difference that I wanted to show you, and we used dir command for it, and that's why I explained it on the top. Obviously you can look into each one of them if you want. Like you can actually go print help list dot or you can do a dot and that should work. So that will tell you what append does. You can do index. You can also do x, because now it won't work for x. You always have to use whatever is here. So you can try reduce. That should work. Let's reduce this here. Actually, index would have worked. Index is right here. Sorry, I didn't see it. But anyways, I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. You can. That's why I showed you what help does as well. Now, that was the first difference, and I didn't need to import sys to show you this. That I did anyway, but for this first difference, I didn't have to import sys. Now, for the second difference, however, because I'm trying to show you how tuples take less memory, we need sys command. And why is that? Because I'm talking about memory, and sys itself is system. So if I go to let's type sys Python, here I'm talking about system specific parameter, because when you're talking about memory, you're talking about system specific things. That's why it's important to import sys. Yeah, so I've imported sys on the top. Now I want to check how much memory tuple takes and how much memory my list takes. And to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write print, then I'm going to write sys, I'm going to write get size of, and then in brackets I'll type a, and I'm going to type x. Let me clear this so you get a clear understanding as to, and these are the only two commands, so I'm doing one for a and one for x. A is a list, x is a tuple. What I'm trying to get is sys dot get size of a, sys dot get size of x. Obviously you can read about sys, you can read about what each one of these does. I'm actually working on get size of. So what get size of does, get size, there we go, return the size of an object in bytes. And that's what we need. We need to see how much memory is allocated to my tuple, how much memory is allocated to my list. So if I run it now, you can see for a, which is the list, it shows 120. For the tuple, however, which is using the same values, it's 64. So it's around 50% memory allocation. So that's something which makes tuples better if you don't need to change the values. Obviously you have to, if you are going to change the values or perform functions on list in future, like if you want to append things or pop things or some other functions that you cannot perform on tuples, you have to use list. But if you're not going to change the values, it makes sense to use tuples as well, because they take less memory. Now I've shown you the second difference as well, which is tuples take less memory. Now third one, tuples are faster. So tuples are created faster. Obviously they are taking less memory, so they are created faster. But I'll actually show this to you. So now instead of sys, I'm gonna import timeit. What does timeit do now? Import timeit. There's a time and there's a timeit in Python. These are two different ones, so don't get confused. This module provides a simple way to time small bits of Python code. So when you're writing a code, it just provides you the time used to create that code. However, actually go on another link. There's a syntax for timeit. which is this timeit.timeit, then the statement that you want to run, the stmt. This will take the code for which you want to measure the execution time. So obviously you're running timeit to compare something or to check something, how much time it takes. That statement will come here. Then there's setup. This will have setup details that needs to be executed, that need to be executed before statement. Default value is pass. If you don't write anything, it's pass. But like if you don't want to change the values, you can just write pass. Yeah. Timer. This will have the timer value. Timeit already has a default value set, and we can ignore it. So you don't really have to write anything for timer. And then number, default value is 1 million. Now how do you use this? How do I use this? I have a list 234, I have a tuple 234, and this bit is done, so I'm just going to comment this out. That's done. Now I want to use timeit to check how much time each one of them takes. So well, I have to write something here, right? And what am I going to write is let's say list underscore time is equal to what we wrote, what we read on the website. It says timeit. Then this actual statement, so let's say stmt is, or actually I don't really have to write stmt here, as let's just copy this because it has a definite index that we need, sorry, a state syntax that we need to follow. So let's just write that. Then I have to write setup, and it's gonna be setup say setup is equal to pass. Pass has to be inside the quotes, comma. We don't need to write timer, as we can ignore it, and that needs to be number equal to print list time. I'm just going to copy this whole thing. Here I'm just going to write tuple. Here I'm going to change it to parentheses. And here I'm going to change it to tuple. Now if I run it, you can see tuple only took 0.007, whereas a list took 0.065. So you can see a list took more time to get created, whereas tuple only took 0.007. I think it's like seconds, like 0.007 seconds, and that's 0.065. Could be milliseconds as well. I'm not sure, to be honest. But we can actually search timeit and see if it's seconds or milliseconds or what it is. So that can be our homework. That's something you can actually learn, and you can post in the comments what it is to help others, and I will really appreciate that as well. Okay, I don't want to look for it now because it's just gonna make the video longer, and it's something you can just Google. Anyways, you can see the difference. So I've shown you all three differences here. Now, a few things. Let's just comment it out. And we don't need the list anymore because obviously we are talking about tuple. So this tuple is fine. I'm just saying x is a tuple of 2, 3, 4. Fine. But what's going to happen if I type x, or say, let's just comment it out so we can work. Okay. What's going to happen if I type a tuple a as 3? So it's just a single value tuple. But is it really a tuple? If you run it, you will get the answer. Oh god, I keep forgetting that I need to print this. Sorry about that. So print a. Obviously it's 3, but let's say print type of a. If you remember what type does, it tells you what type it is. It says class int. It doesn't say it's tuple. It says it's an integer. Why? Because a, it just ignored the parentheses and it's just taking 3 as an integer and adding that to a. Now that's confusing. What if you really have to create a tuple with a single value? What you do is you put a comma at the end. Now let's run the same thing with the comma at the end. Now you can see it's a class tuple. So when you're making a tuple with a single element in it, always make sure that it ends with a comma. Another thing I want to show you is what if you have something like a comma b comma c, let's say 1, 2, 3. And say print a, print b, print c. What's going to happen now? You get 1 assigned to a, 2 assigned to b, 3 assigned to c. Perfect. I've given 3 values here and 3 inside the tuple, so they get assigned respectively. But what if it was a situation where, let me just copy the whole thing. What if it was a situation where numbers on left hand side were not equal to numbers on right hand side. What's going to happen then? Now in this case you will get an error, and I'll show you. It says too many values to unpack. So now Python is confused. Where should I put the extra values? And it's not understanding it. It doesn't know how to resolve it. Okay, so it gave you an error. But it's not Python's job to resolve this. It's the programmer's job. And you being the programmer, it's your job. So you need to put your genius head on, and you need to just put a star here because you are a star. Now what's going to happen is 1 will get assigned to A, and the last element will get assigned to C. Anything in between get assigned to B. So B will get a list of 3 elements, which are 2, 3, 4, and I'll show you. C. A is 1, C is 5. Anything in between is now assigned to B as a list. So the star makes you the star. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on tuples, and I tried my best to explain from the very basic, from the very bottom, and also try to compare the list with tuples and try to give you understanding of what dir does, what help does, and what pass does, which is very important as well. So if you're liking these videos, like if you're learning from them, please like the videos and please comment on the videos. Also do that small homework, find what timeit unit is, and subscribe to the channel. Share these videos with your friends. Please comment on the videos to tell me whether you're learning or not. Okay, stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned, keep watching these videos, and please practice. I'll see you in future videos. Thank you.